Welcome to the Feudal Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today is a continuation of the Asterisk War. This is part 2 for season 2. And yes, I gotta say, if they were pushing hard for a season 2 in the first season, they were pushing so hard for a season 3, they might as well have been giving birth to triplets.
They were trying. And I say trying because as it stands, as of today, video recording, there is no season 3 yet. And I'm kind of sad because I thought there was like a book ending here. I didn't realize that the last 2 seasons were pushing so hard. It would be like if your sitcom had a life of its own and was like, wait, we're not really scheduled for a season 3, but we're going to tell you about it to try to force the execs to give us a season 3. And they foreshadowed so much shit. Did you watch the dub or the sub?
I watched the sub.
You'll know what I'm talking about. In the last episode, when you've got the evil villain that laughs like, she, you're like, no. If you wanted to introduce somebody who's innately evil, don't start out with the evil laugh. No one will walk up to you, she. I'm your favorite person. Well,
apparently in this one they do. Apparently in this one, this is something that they do. Also, I will say this. They did reference at least something they referenced in the very first episode of season 1. They finally, brought some more information to the handkerchief. The handkerchief that was just absolutely mind-boggling as to what the hell was so important about it. And then you learn towards the end of season 2, the last 3 episodes, about this individual. And her name is Ophelia. And that's who gave Julius the handkerchief.
No, she didn't give it to her. She embroidered a specific part. The entire orphanage gave it to her.
Right. I thank you. She did embroider it. You also learn that Ophelia is the first person to be genetically made into what do they call it? The Genesis, some whatever they want to.
Yeah, I just always assumed they were called strata.
Okay, she's the first one that's been genetically modified into being one. You also learn that the great calamity that ends up happening for the Genestella was actually asteroids coming and crashing down.
Very
original.
Very Black Panther-esque.
Yes. Except this one affected the whole world, and people are naturally born into this now. One can assume anyways. They spent a majority of the time where season 1 left off during the Phoenix Festa, which is a tag team battle, so to speak. It's 2 versus 2. And it basically continues on with Julius and Ayato fighting their way through eventually winning the Phoenix Festa. You also learn that his sister, and you were right about this, you said you don't believe she's dead. I said she's probably dead, but not in the same sense. And we were both kind of right. She sealed herself, and she's in an apparent death state is what she's in. So yeah, she's not live, but she's not dead either. She's just there.
I would equate that to she's probably in a space outside of time, if that makes any sense. She's bonded herself to that specific moment in time. And the reason I believe that is she's in a tank, but she's not hooked up to life support, which means they have not fed her. She has not been given nutrients, and yet she's still technically alive.
Right. Well, we can assume that they haven't fed her or anything else like that. We don't know the specifics about it. Just that, hey, guess what? She's actually not dead. Great. Also, they point out that you can put a freeze with air quotes freeze on your
Ogre Lux.
And it's only because the Ogre Lux start acting out and starts rebelling against you, and you can no longer control it. It no longer wants to work with you. And so they play at that a little bit. So you gain some knowledge, a little bit more knowledge about the Ogre Luxes, even though it's really small. You learn that his sister's not really dead. She's in an apparent death state, and she sealed herself with her own powers, which is the cause for her to be in that specific state.
So you were proven in this season to be correct when you said they have their own individual, almost soul type of thing.
And you were proven to be correct when you said she wasn't really dead and that she'll probably turn up somewhere. She did. She turned up in a hospital. Mostly dead, but alive. Very much alive.
Mostly dead, but still with a pulse. So we're good.
Exactly.
What I will say, which is kind of cool, is after in the second season, when they do win the Festa thing, I forget the name of it.
Phoenix Festa, you find out that an Ogre Lux is the only thing that can block another Ogre Lux. It's kind of cool in the sense of, if you've got this, you can cut through damn near anything except itself. It's like a diamond blade, if you will. Yeah. Also, we learned that apparently Ayato has the ability to truly and fully unlock the barrier and chains that is on him. And why he waited to do it during a battle to unlock one of the chains is beyond me.
Well, see, I did a little bit of repetition. I watched that one episode, that one specific part, like 8 or 9 times, just so I thought we were going to argue about it. I wanted to be right at least once. But I actually know what happened.
Okay.
In that specific point, okay, his sister has the ability to bind things and to imprison things. And what she's done to his abilities is essentially bind them and imprison them in different, let's call them chests for just simplicity's sake. Like if you're going into a dungeon, you have to open chests and get crap. So what she did in this particular case is she put a chest inside of a chest inside of a chest inside of a chest. Now, the most outer chest, he's able to open temporarily by breaking the lock, but it's a self-sealing lock that will fix itself in 5 minutes. Hence his 5-minute time limit. Now, the key in order to open these, like I was just saying, he could break it open like you would with a hammer, but it's a temporary open. What he needs to do is he needs to find the appropriate key for the appropriate lock. In this particular case, relying on somebody else is the key to open the first chest. And when the girl was like, hey, lean on me, he realized he felt something click, and that's when the chains changed color. He's like, wait a second. Holy crap, I think I figured it out. I need some time to work on this. And that's when he came to the realization.
Yeah, no, that's right. He does. But I would argue one thing against what you were saying. It's not the first chest that he unlocks. It's the second one.
What's the first one?
The first one was done beforehand, because how would he have known to do that beforehand had he not already done it before?
Well, he knows the chant. So, okay, fine. You know what?
And again, let me bring up to another thing that I was right about. You don't hear him chant every single time he has to break the chains or anything else. Because again, he breaks the chains for a couple of the fights, but for the majority of the rest of the fights throughout the rest of the season, you don't see that chant anymore. You just know he breaks the chains. So
I would argue that because the announcer calls it his performance, which means he does it every single time. And she remarks when he does not do it because one of his friends was kidnapped and used as a pawn so that he wouldn't power up.
No, he did power up. He just didn't power up with the Ogre Lux. And the reason why he didn't do it with the Ogre Lux is because the Ogre Lux was quote unquote sealed away because it was being frozen, supposedly because it was going out of control. But that,
no, it wasn't.
Well, yeah, we obviously know it wasn't going out of control, but...
Oh, okay. The official story is what you're referring to.
Yeah, I'm referring to the official story. That's why I said, quote unquote, it went out of control. Okay. We all know it wasn't going out of control. It was just a way to get him to seal it up, because once you force that seal on it, it will never be usable by you again, because you basically betray its trust. Which is what one of the main villains, you can say, Dirk, was trying to do. He was trying to make it so that way Ayato wouldn't be able to use it. And he powered up then without the Ogre Lux. And this is after he was already, released his power to be able to go up for an hour.
Yeah, that was the first chest. It wasn't a power up. It was just he's able to sustain his max. Or
Yeah,
his starting point, his base stat.
He's able to now use it, break the chain, so to speak, as he said it now, for up to an hour, and enhance the amount of time that he's going to be able to do it, and it's for up to an hour, and that's what he says to Julie's too. He's now able to do it for an hour and not just 5 minutes.
Damn. I mean, it's there's such potential for decent writing.
Yeah.
It's really sad that the powers that be decide that they just don't want it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes very little sense, but we're not here to make sense. We're here
to talk.
Yeah. We're here to discuss the folly of others. So in this particular case, I think that the setup was decent. I think that they were really pushing for a third season because the way that they set it up, the Phoenix Festa was 2-on-2. This new one is actually 4-on-4.
Is it 4-on-4 or 5? No, it's 5-on-5.
5-on-5?
Claudia, Julius, Ayato, Saya, and then Kryn.
It's up to 5 people can enter. You can enter individually, but you don't stand a chance. You have to have up to 5 people can enter on your team. And it's the schools fighting each other rather than
people. Much like the way it was during the Phoenix Festia. And then you also learn that there's another one. So you have the single ones where it's 1-on-1. Then you have the Phoenix Festia, which is 2 versus 2. And then the Gladius, I think, is what it is for the 5 versus 5. And
sounds about right.
And from them saying that, I mean, like they spent 9 episodes just in the fighting for the Phoenix Festia. 9 of the 12 episodes for this. And the last 3, they seem to be lining everything up to just chuck it right at you to say, hey, we're going to be back for season 3. We're going to be back for season 3. Don't worry. We're going to explain all this. We're going to give you all these details. It's like, hey, you know what? This person over here. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now we told you about this one. Now let's talk about this person over here. Hey, guess what? We don't know why, but this person's over here trying to kill you. We don't know really why or what's going on. Oh, Claudia, you have a wish? Cool. We don't want to enlighten anyone to this, so we're going to move past that. Hey, guess what? You're actually a pseudo king. You don't really matter, but you know what? We're not going to elaborate much further on that. Let's move on to this over here. Hey, guess what? The orphanage is actually fine. Cool. Right on. Hey, guess what? Ayato, even though you're rank number 1 and you're supposed to be getting extra money and have your own private room now because you're on the page 1 of the thing and it's been a couple of months, guess what? You're not getting any of that jack squad anyway, so cool.
Sounds great.
Sounds wonderful. I mean, like, and as fast as I threw that all at you, imagine having that all thrown at you, but with more in 3 episodes and then have them push so hard. It's like, yes, there's going to be a season 3, and it's been a couple of years. There's no season 3.
What I was always curious about, what the hell happened to the money they were supposed to win? Are they splitting it evenly? How much is it? Does it go to the school? Does it go to the individual? Because it sounds like it goes to the people.
Yeah. Well, what happened was you don't learn how much money won. You just learn that Julius was able to give money to the orphanage to save it. So you don't even know if Ayato got any money. In fact, you even learn that she was sending the orphanage money from being on the page 1 of the school's list for the top fighters. You get money for that, and you get your own private room for that. And Ayato was still shacking up with a roommate, and apparently he wasn't getting any of the funds for being number 1.
Don't know about you, but it sounds profitable.
Sounds super profitable. I mean, like, that would give me major motivation to stay number 1. If I'm getting a nice paycheck, and not only that, I'm getting my own private room. I don't have to shack up with a roommate. Heck yes.
All day, every day. Please.
One of the things I really question, though, is when I watch shows like these, when I watch anime series like this, why is it that the high schoolers are the ones that are insanely powerful and being thrown into war? Why are they the ones being pitted against each other in deathly situations?
Well, because the people who pull the strings don't want to die.
Well, no kidding, obviously. but I mean, like, think about it, right? These kids are strong, right? And they're supposedly really super strong. And towards the end of the last couple episodes, they go up against a guy who's supposedly supposed to be really strong because he's wanted internationally and he's supposed to be an assassin, and he's able to be taken down really fairly easily, I would argue, by these kids.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but the older you get, obviously the weaker you get. You peak around what, 14, 15? Is that what we're saying? And
Yes.
then once you hit your 20s, you're still kind of badass, but not really. By the time you hit your 30s, dude, you're basically a feeble old man. What they did try to clarify that by saying when these hit, a new generation was born that basically outstripped everyone as far as power, speed, stamina, not necessarily intelligence. And corporations were built, and for some reason, to get to the higher ups of specific companies, you have to lose, and I quote, your humanity. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you have to become a monster, but
basically you drive around in a van, you have free candy spray painted on it, and you kidnap children for diabolical tests and science, all in the name of science. And you laugh maniacally as you sit back and enjoy it.
Sign me right up. That is my cup of tea, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, also, you have to incur copious amounts of debt to be able to do it, too. You can't do it for free, man. You got to rack up that debt first.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a bit too extreme for me. I can't do debt that way, sir.
All right, fine. Just be a creeper out in the middle of a school parking lot, then.
How did you know?
I don't know. Telepathic, I guess.
Why not just say just pathetic?
No, because I prefer telepathetic. Thank you very much.
I'm not normal pathetic. I am telepathetic.
Exactly. All right. So, needless to say, in the second season, not too much really goes on in the terms of other than what we honestly just explained. Like, there really is. They spend a majority of the time fighting. He unlocks a layer of power to extend the duration he can fight at full speed, full power. Oh, he does remember one ability that his sister taught him once. Darn it, what is it called?
One of the hidden techniques.
Yeah, one of the hidden techniques.
Basically, you can see what your surroundings are.
Yeah, and that's basically it. The rest of the time is them pushing season 3 so hard and them throwing everything they can at you in the hopes that there will be a season 3 so that way they can explain everything.
It's kind of sad, honestly.
It is super sad. Again, they did round out a couple of things they referenced in season 1, which is good. Maybe they were trying to say how trustworthy they were. They're like, hey, look, aren't we trustworthy? We fed them all this information in season 1 and we left them hanging on, and now they're back for season 2 and now we showed some of that, but now we're going to throw even more at them. It's one of the ones that I honestly, I got to say, I am a little disappointed in. I'm a little disappointed in how they decided to deliver the season. I'm disappointed in the fact that they decided to push as much as they did at you all the way through it.
Well, we threw a lot of negatives at this. Are there any positives that you can think of that kind of get through to us, in your opinion?
The animation is clean. They did their due diligence in making the villains or the people you're not supposed to like people you really don't like. That is something I do enjoy about this. They definitely pushed the villain point of view to where you felt like, yes, they are definitely the bad people. Like, I really don't like them. I'm glad they're going to get their just desserts in the end, or at least most of them get their just desserts in the end.
I do agree with that. What I will counter with is I thought the production value was worth way more than really the story. I think they had a lot more money than they needed on this because the anime quality is really good. The voice actors specifically fit really well. Like, when you hear the voice, you can see that specific character having that specific voice, with the exception of the last she girl.
Yeah.
Because her laugh was very she evil. And then when she's talks, you're like, wait a second, this is just a regular preppy high school girl. So maybe they use that as a jumping off point for if they were to have done season 3, she comes out and she's trying to be evil, but she's really not, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have happened like that. But I would argue that the value for it across season 1 and season 2 was kind of identical, with the exception of the animation. They stepped up the animation a little bit in season 2 compared to season 1. The voice actors were the same though between season 1 and season 2.
Okay, I can see that. I don't know. I just, from what I could see, it looked way better than what I remember it being, you know?
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I hate to throw a lot of negatives at it. I really do. I hate to throw that many negatives at it. But at the same time, I felt really betrayed by it. I really did. I felt really betrayed by how it turned out, by the ending of it, the story flow of it. I felt betrayed. There was so much potential there, and that's one of the things I really see in it is the potential was there. It's just I got betrayed, and that hurt me. Hurt me deep.
Hurt me deep. See, I was always thinking it not necessarily an emotionally devastating thing. I just personally feel like you were led on, and then the payoff was not worth your investment. A lot like an anime I once watched called No Game, No Life. I think you might have watched it too. It's one of my personal favorite first 6 episodes. The last 6 were awesome too. However, there was never a season 2, and they pushed for it super hard, just like here. So, I mean, that's really the only thing I can compare it to. Yeah. You have such great hopes, and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to do really well, and it's going to be perfect, and then nothing. But I guess that's why there's so many different options out there for anime, you know?
That's it. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and just round this up with a nice rating on a scale of 0 to 5. Sir, how would you rate this show? It's gonna
get a higher, as a whole. It's gonna get a higher ranking than most. I'm gonna give it a 4.2.
Oh wow! Why?
The potential it has. I'm still in the category. I'm hoping they do a 3rd season, and I would so totally watch it. I would rewatch the first 2 seasons to prep myself for the 3rd one, because its rewatch value is good enough for me that it's not complete crap.
All right, fair enough, sir. Sounds like a good reason to me.
What about you?
I'm gonna have to go with a lower score. I'm gonna have to go with
really okay.
No, I'm gonna have to go even lower than that. I'm gonna go with a
4.058.
A flat 3.
Really?
Flat 3. And the reason why I give it a flat 3, and that's high considering how betrayed I feel and how open-ended this ending was. Oh my gosh. I would have gone lower. The rewatch value is there. I will give you that. The fact that I still also hold on for hope, even though it's been 2 years. As the time of 3 years as of the time of this recording, which we are recording this in June 2019. I still have some hope. So
who knows? Maybe one of the producers are listening, and they're like, "Oh, we still have some fans. Let's fuck him over again."
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh man,
it's bad. But that's why 3, because of the open ending. I was hoping for so much more. I felt betrayed by it, and it just felt they threw so much at you at the end for the last 3 episodes. It was just really disappointing.
I hear it.
All right.
Talk about disappointing. Talking about disappointing. What's your choice?
My choice is going to be Deadman Wonderland, and this anime came out in 2011. It's 12 episodes long, and its genres are action, sci-fi, horror, and shonen. So
I think I've seen it, and honestly, not a bad pick.
All right. Well, I'm glad I have your approval, sir. I'm looking forward to this. Just this once. Nice.
It is 100% not a slice of life unless you're into it.
Unless this is a slice of your life, in which case I feel bad for you. You know, with the title of Deadman Wonderland, I mean, like, what could possibly go wrong?
Think of a criminal forced into Disneyland-esque deadly games for the enjoyment of the world.
That sounds fantastic. I love it.
That's what it is.
All right. So join us next week for Deadman Wonderland. Feel free to reach out to us in between now and then with what you thought of the Asterisk War, whether or not you agreed with us. You can reach out to us on the Twitterverse at Feudal Anime Pod. You can email us at feudalaнимepodcast@gmail.com. Till next time.
I'm Rick.
And I'm Jack.
Later.